Yo, 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 what's up, guys? Welcome to Rukshan On X. Hope you can all hear me good. I thought I'd start the show a little bit earlier today, as in not have the long countdown. I normally have about 5 or 6 minutes. I've shortened it down to 2 to 3 minutes, so we can have a chat with those of you that jump in early while we're waiting for others to join up as well. So thank you, Brittany, and a few others who have commented. Mechanomics, good to have you here on Rukshan On X. I know you watch the Opposition podcast, and I read all your comments directed towards Avi usually. But yeah, good to have you here, mate. And Rafi, Baseline, Betty, and Mark, thanks for joining in, guys. And yeah, Rukshan On X, I enjoy doing this show. We got Australia's here as well. I am on the road, guys. I'm in Canberra. It's been an interesting day in Canberra. I'm going to be talking about Canberra as well. And the Black Ghost appears in Parliament. I will definitely be spending a bit of time talking about the Black Ghost in Parliament. And yeah, it's been a very interesting day. Obviously, the news cycle has been dominated by what happened in the Senate today with Senator Pauline Hanson. And I have some views on that. I have some thoughts on that, but I also want to get the reactions from around X as well as Senator Hanson as well, who's done a few TV interviews. So we'll watch a little bit of that, and I'll give you some of my thoughts on the entire saga around Senator Pauline Hanson turning up to the Senate today in a burqa and the fallout from that. No doubt this will also dominate the news cycle tomorrow, morning television, and everyone will get their opinion in. And it'll be very interesting, I think, to see how people discuss this in today's climate, especially online. I've seen a lot of support for Senator Hanson, whereas in Parliament, a lot of condemnation from across the political spectrum from the different parties. So we'll have a look at all that today, guys. I also want to talk about China. There's a state visit from the Chinese in Canberra. So if you're in Canberra, you may have seen a lot of the area was fenced up. Lots of Chinese flags and Australian flags, a lot of no-go areas, a lot of security, and an interesting development in Parliament with some security protocols, directed towards staff and other politicians around internet use and Wi-Fi as the Chinese were visiting. So that was really odd. And Senator Hanson actually also shared the directive that people received on that. So I'll be talking about that as well. I've got the whole drama. This is the funniest drama, I think, for the last couple of days, at least for me, someone that spends a lot of time on X, and that has been X actually allowing you to see where people's accounts are based. So you can see where people created their accounts initially. Now, how accurate it is, it's still in the air, but I think it's pretty accurate, as well as you can see which app store that they used to, get X or create their account on. So that's been very revealing for many different reasons on X, especially for those of us who are engaged in political commentary. A lot of Americans, of course, pissed off that these things are being exposed, and a lot of the spam fake accounts who are pretending to be, whether they be pretending to be Americans or Australians, whatever it is, talking about Australian politics or talking about American politics, turns out a lot of them are based in, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Africa, Nigeria, I'm saying the continents, Asia, the Middle East. And, they're anonymous accounts. So I'm going to be looking at that. It's been pretty funny, for me at least, seeing the fallout from that, especially with the Groyper accounts, Nick Fuentes' little fan base. A lot of them are triggered on my X because I've been calling them out and saying that a lot of the America First, America Only accounts have actually been from places like Bangladesh. And I've always said there's Bangladeshi bot farms. So, that's been pretty funny. I will bring that up. There's also a call for an inquiry into the ABC that the Liberals are putting forward. I'll look at that article as well. A beautiful mural for Dictator Dan has gone up in Victoria. We'll have a look at the mural and praise its artistic merits. We'll do that together. So we'll do that towards the end of the show. I might even touch on Candace Owens right at the end because Candace, she's under a lot of pressure these days. You got the French government, apparently, according to her, have an assassination plot out there to kill her. The Macrons have taken out an assassination plot, and she's got all types of commentary related to this. So we might have a look at that if we have time. I reckon we'll probably end up going today till about 11 at night. So if you're watching, it's 9 o'clock now, it's about 2 hours. And most of my audience is based in Australia, guys. So if you're settling in, get a cup of coffee, cup of tea, whatever you like, get some whiskey, whatever it is, and we'll have a slow chat tonight talking about news in Australia. And as you can see, guys, the comments are on the screen as well. So you're very much a part of this conversation. I like to take it pretty chill. Don't get too serious and philosophical about topics. That's for the opposition podcast that I do on Tuesdays and Thursdays with Avi. This one's really chill. Your comments might even lead the conversation. As always, trolls are welcome to an extent, as long as you don't do threats or disparaging comments which are, violent towards people or against community standards. I will try to remove those. But first off, before I get started on Pauline Hanson and what she did today in Parliament, we'll watch the videos. I will read through some of your comments and see what you guys are up to as well, and we'll go from there. Oh, Anthony, I've got to mention this. Mate, thanks for jumping on with a super chat. Trump's fault, as always. We love to blame Trump for everything. This has been the go-to standard of the left. And I love that every show that I've been live on, I think for the last at least 2-3 months, I think you've always done this super chat. So thank you. And guys, if you do want to support the show and you enjoy what I'm doing, you can always do a super chat via my YouTube. That's the best place to support the show if you want to do that. No pressure. I do interact with all comments. But yeah, let's have a look at what you guys are saying. Rafi's watching from Perth. I'm in Perth at the moment, not Melbourne, for a change. So I think you probably, what's the time there, Rafi? Probably like 6 p.m, 7 p.m, something like this. I know we're ahead a little bit. Is that correct? Or you guys ahead of us? I'm pretty sure you guys are behind. We got here DML, mate. Thanks for jumping in. This is the best show in town. Thank you. We've got a small growing show. I want to grow this over time. A lot of people are like, Rukshan, your show's so crap. Not many people watch your show and all these things. I don't care. I'm just doing this for my actual, I love news. I love, covering politics. And I also like, building these shows out, and the actual practice of doing something live, the pressure of doing something live, unrehearsed, unprepared. There's no teleprompters, guys. Everything happens live. It's been a learning experience for me, and I think I've improved over time. Let me know any feedback. I think I've really improved over time, and this is going back 5 years, especially over the last 2 years, doing a lot more lives and getting confident in front of the camera in a live setting without being prepared. I think it's a good skill to learn, especially for someone that wants to do this kind of content. Liberty Prime says a win for Pauline. Maconomics says borrow Pauline's burqa for tomorrow's show. Do you guys want me to turn up in a burqa for the show, guys, for the opposition podcast? I might run it past Avi as well. Maybe he's got a spare burqa somewhere. Australia says Pauline rules. Mark says I recognized her legs anywhere. I mean, she was wearing like the Aussie burqa. I'll get to that after. I don't want to jump ahead of all of this, but yeah, it was, her legs were revealing. I don't think that would have really flied in any of the Middle Eastern countries if she had the Aussie burqa on, showing a lot of leg. Order dim sims. I haven't had dinner yet. I'm going to actually have dinner after the show. Beer better gummy shakes. They're whinging about Australians caring about US politics. Look, there is a lot of whinging going on. I do admit I have seen the Americans whinging that they believe like there's no other country in the world but America, and only Americans can talk about American things. But guys, how many things do the Americans interfere with? And I'm not saying this in a mean-spirited way. I'm saying just generally, Americans have their hands in everything, especially American politics also impacts Australia. Oh, I'm getting a call, guys. I'm getting a call. We've got a special guest coming in. Give me a second. The show's about to change. Give me 1 second. Oh, mate, I didn't know if the guest was joining in. All right, let's just jump to the guest screen, guys. So you're gonna have to bear with me. Let's just jump in here. Oh my God, Senator Babette. We've got a senator, guys. Senator Babette has joined the show. How you doing?
I've joined the show. I am destroyed, obviously. What's the time now? Just past 9 o'clock. Yeah. Just gotten back to the hotel from the Senate. Yeah. What a wild day today, huh?
Yeah, so I want to ask you because I was going to do this story about Pauline Hanson. And look, let me just kind of bring up some photos for people that might have not seen what happened in Parliament House today. It's kind of hard to miss because everyone is talking about it. Let me just play a little bit. I'll play a little bit of this, Senator Babbitt, and then we'll have a little chat about this. Let me just play the video of her entering. So, were you in the Senate at this point? Were you around the vicinity of her entering like this?
I was on the way into the Senate at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was walking into. I didn't know that I was going to be walking into basically the Australian Senate version of World War III. Totally wild. Now, there's something that the people at home won't know that happened today, and that's the vile abuse that some of the senators in that place were throwing over to Senator Pauline Hanson's in her direction. Now, you won't hear it because the cameras and the microphones probably didn't pick it up because their microphones weren't active in front of them at the time. But I have no idea how Senator Hanson kept her cool like she did, because the way that some of those, I would say mostly the lefties were, and I'm not going to name names, but the way that some of them were acting was so unhinged and so out of line that even I was like, that's a bit much. Me, of all people, thought it was a bit much. So, good on Senator Hanson for, not reacting to some of the jabs that she was copying from across the chamber there. But for those who don't know how it all went down, I'll just give them a quick little explanation, if that's okay, Rukshan.
Yeah, go for it.
So basically, if you're just coming on now, Senator Hanson has had a bill that she wanted to introduce. Now, that bill was, let's just call it the Ban the Burqa bill, because it's ban the burqa and face coverings and things like this. She was denied the opportunity to introduce that bill by some members in the Senate. And because she was denied the opportunity to introduce the bill, so she came up, she said, I'd like to introduce my bill. They said, no, you can't do that. She's like, well, then stuff it. I'm going to go out, I'm going to put it on, and I'm going to come back in. We'll see how you guys like that. That's what she did. She comes back in wearing the burqa, and basically World War III just erupts. Now, all of these, these are lefty types throwing barbs at her, really rude things that I won't repeat in her direction. These are the same people, some of the very same people that themselves do all sorts of crazy stunts, say all sorts of crazy things, but then when someone else does something that they don't like, they get upset. So I think if the left didn't have any double standards, they wouldn't have any standards at all.
Yeah.
I don't want to really name names, but I'll just name one name. Just one name, okay? And I'll be diplomatic. But Senator Mehreen Faruqi, I think, was particularly abrasive, let's just put it that way, towards the Hanson. But Senator Faruqi herself has come into that place and said all sorts of, I think, much more crazy things. I mean, I think one time she came out and said, you white people or something like that. In my opinion, I think she's like the chief racist in that place. And the fact that she's saying all these terrible things towards Senator Hanson, I think was a bit silly.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard Mehreen Faruqi many times discussing all manner of issues, and she will literally, like, from my opinion, racism will flow out of her. Like, it just flows like a river, especially when she wants to disparage white people, the white members in the parliament. She has no problem whatsoever saying whatever she feels she can say, and she's, there's no repercussions for her. No one's calling to censor her. But I know that if anyone else, including you, Senator Babbitt, had said anything like this, there would be hell to pay. That double standard that we see in parliament all the time, that you obviously see a lot of, is that something that we just have to put up with, or is this something that will ever correct itself?
Look, I hope it corrects itself. I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to people at home to just say, hey, you know what, guys, we're sick of this kind of stuff. We're sick of the double standards. We're sick of one particular side of the political spectrum having their way all the time, and we will put a stop to it. And you know what? We live in a democracy, and people at home, if you decide to be involved in the political process, if you decide to, get active, if you decide to vote a different way, we can be rid of the really toxic stuff that's in our parliament right now. You know what? It would be nice if some of the people in that place, who I won't name names again, but it'd be nice if some of them defended Christianity as staunchly and as passionately as they defend Islam. That'd be very, very nice. And unfortunately, we don't see that right now. And I'm in the building all the time, obviously. All I see is the denigration of the Christian faith non-stop. But the second you say anything against Islam, you are attacked and you are mocked by many members, actually, of the Australian Federal Senate. It's really sad.
Yeah, I want to get you in and just watch some of the reactions that we've seen since that time. And Pauline Hanson's given an interview as well. If you have more time to spare, is that okay?
I have about 5-10 minutes.
5-10 minutes, yeah. Just give me a moment. I'll just get you onto that screen, and we'll watch that. Just bear with me for a second. So, guys, we have a special guest in Senator Babet, so we just got to get him onto the screen. But I'm just going to get this working properly. Oh, there's two of me now. There we go. And then we're going to get Senator Babet on here. Let's see how this goes. Oh, here he is. All right, I should be able to hear you now.
By the way, hope you guys don't mind that are watching at home right now. And if you do mind, screw you, I don't care. But I've got a nice glass of Morgan's Bay Shiraz here. It's a Cabernet Shiraz. Very delicious. $13 for a 250ml glass.
Yeah.
Have this. And I hope to God I sleep like a baby, because whenever I'm in Canberra, I find it extremely difficult to wind down and go to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm just on a tangent here, Rukshan, sorry.
No, go for it.
Canberra is not a very peaceful place. Let's put it that way. From the moment we get in the morning to to now, basically past 9 p.m, it's just go, and everything's just coming at you, and it's very, very hard to just say, all right, bedtime. So.
Yeah, look, one of the things that I've noticed, especially coming to Canberra now for a few years on and off, there seems to be a lot of these stunts that happen in Parliament. There seems to be, a major story like this overtakes everything else that is happening. Do you think that's a problem? I'm just asking you for your opinion as someone that sits in the chamber, in the Senate especially. Do you think that's an issue? Because a lot of people do say that it doesn't look like a lot gets done in Canberra. What do you have to say to that?
I think that Parliament House and Canberra overall, it's a bit like an adult daycare centre. It's just everything they do is like, how can we keep these senators as busy as possible and ensure that they are as ineffective as possible with a lot of time wasting kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I think the government of the day, it doesn't matter which side, left or right, is trying to do. I would, you know what, when I first was elected, was it 3 and a bit years ago, when I first came to Canberra, in my head, I was like, I'm coming to a place of learned men and women, much smarter than me, much better than me. These people are going to be like, savants kind of thing. But when I got here, I thought, and I realized what it was, it's a complete joke. It's a joke. It's people that obviously not many of us get along. There's always bickering. There's always arguing back and forth. I wish it wasn't like that. I wish that people were adults and put their differences aside and actually, sat down and talked about ideas and the direction of the country and things like this. But sadly, that's not the case at all. I mean, obviously, as your viewers would know, you've got the Labor Party in the majority. They want to ram through with basically no opportunity to debate, no opportunity to discuss, no opportunity to, improve legislation, in my opinion anyway. Yeah. And, it's a bit of an adult daycare center. Get these senators out of the way so that we can ram through whatever we want. And it's kind of sad. Yeah.
But I do feel like, when it comes to an issue like this, especially, this is a controversial issue, right? Senator Hanson's burqa ban, and not even just in Parliament, just in general discussions in the public, it is an issue of controversy. Now, some people might say it doesn't have to be in Australia. We should be able to talk about anything like we want to talk about, but this is an issue of controversy. And, I would say that Senator Hanson is trying to prove a point here by coming into the chamber in a burqa. And the irony in all of this is the fact that she wants to do a burqa ban. She's coming to the chamber later on in a burqa, and they have banned her technically. Let's say suspended her
Well,
for being in the burqa.
can
Do you
I
see? Yeah.
can I dive in here and follow on from that point that you just made? This is a great example of what happens in the Australian Senate. Okay, so in an ideal world, well, in any sort of normal reality, really, what should have happened is that they should have said, okay, maybe we don't agree with Senator Hanson or how she's gone about doing what she's doing. However, she's an Australian senator. She was elected by the people of Queensland to represent all of them here in this place. So let's allow her to introduce her bill in the first place because they didn't even allow her to introduce it. Then let's have the debate. Let's spend a few hours or however long we decide to spend on it, but let's at least discuss it. Let's hear from the left, let's hear from the right, let's hear from the middle. Then once we've heard all of the arguments, then let's vote yes or no. And let's explain why we're saying yes or no. But they didn't even give her that opportunity. That's how backwards the Australian Senate is now. It's terrible.
Yeah. And what's your thoughts on the burqa ban, if I may ask? What do you have a view on it?
On the burqa itself, banning the burqa?
Yeah, banning the burqa or the bill, is that something that you'd support Pauline Hanson on, or do you have a different view or a different take? People will
Yeah,
ask
look,
in the
I'd
comments. They'd
probably
like to know.
support, yeah, look, I'd probably support Senator Hanson in the decision to potentially ban the burqa. I think the burqa has no place in Australia. I think I'm going to be controversial. I mean, when am I not? But I'm actually of the belief that culturally, in Australia, we're a Christian country. Okay, we have Christian foundations, we have Christian values, we have Christian culture. And whoever comes to this country, my country, Australia, needs to adapt to the culture that we have here. Rampant multiculturalism isn't a good thing. Now, when I say multiculturalism, I don't mean multi-ethnic or multi-race. Multi-race is fine, multi-ethnic is fine, but we should all have the same culture. We should all have a homogenous culture, because when you don't have the same culture and it's all fragmented, what you end up with is something that I like to call parallel societies, right? Where people live in a country, but they're not a part of that country. They have like their own little enclaves and things like this, and they have their own culture, their own identity within our country. That is not a good thing, and it's only going to end badly in the long term. Now, people will call me racist and all this kind of stuff for saying this, but guys, I'm a brown immigrant myself, and with African background, African genetics, and I'm saying this. So all of these, woke people that like to push ideologies that long term are bad for the country in general, we need to get rid of them at the next election.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree with you on my particular view of that, of the burqa ban as well. I think as a Western culture, Western society, there should be a few ground rules in this country. I know we have religious freedom, and I get that, but there's certain cultures and certain religions that practice child marriage, for instance, but it's outlawed in Australia. So it's not out of the question for not all types of religious freedom to be exercised in Australia. We do have certain restrictions, and this particular garment, a lot of women, even women in Muslim countries or people who have left those countries and now live in the West, say it is a repressive garment. And I think Pauline Hanson is well within her rights to put that to the Parliament, to put that to the people of Australia, and say that in Australia we do not want this particular garment being normal. And now there's countries like France where it's banned. In Sri Lanka, the country of my parents' heritage, there's bans on the burqa as well, for security reasons mostly. I think one of the major concerns in the West has always been around security. Now, there are certain restrictions on us when we go into certain places that we can't go all masked up and all covered. So there is this kind of hypocrisy within our societies, and like you said, parallel societies developing as well. In the UK, we see Sharia courts, which are becoming this prominent thing that people discuss, and we worry about those issues in Australia as well. So I think it's well within reason for an Australian politician, without having to be called a racist by the likes of Marine Faruqi, to go in there and fight for traditional Western Christian values and fight for the freedom of women not to be oppressed. Now, the funniest thing I find in all of this is that we have Muslim women senators who are offended by a woman, in this case Pauline Hanson, making the free choice to wear this garment, which is the burqa. Because a lot of the times when you talk about this, Senator, but people of that faith or people that support that particular thing from the left will be like, well, it is a free choice that women make, and it's just a garment. It's nothing religious. Like they'll make all these excuses for it, but in this scenario, it's all of a sudden offensive. So those are the hypocrisies that I see. I know you've kind of shared your views on that. What is going to happen to Pauline Hanson as a result of this? What's your understanding of what she faces as a result of this?
What's going to happen to Pauline Hanson? Well, her primary vote's going to go up, that's for sure. That's what's going to happen to Pauline Hanson. As far as the Senate goes, look, I don't think anything else is going to come of it. If I was the opposition or if I was the government, I would just want this to kind of go away. I mean, politically, they don't want to give any more airtime to this because all they're doing is just making Pauline Hanson's case stronger. That's all they're doing. I mean, I'll give you an example, right? Now, it doesn't matter what the lefty media says. It doesn't matter what, all those newspapers and websites say. The fact of the matter is there were people in the public gallery there during the whole debacle. They were watching. And at the end of all of it, after they shut down the Senate and said, Pauline Hanson, basically get out of here, as she got up to leave, she actually stayed for, a minute or two and talked directly to the people in the gallery and said, look what they're doing to me. This is not right what they're doing. I should be allowed to speak. I'm an elected senator. Whether you like it or not, I have to talk. This is what I'm here for. And when she finished her little monologue, the people in the gallery all clapped for her, as in approving, clapped, as in we like what you're saying. And it just goes to show how disconnected, the Canberra bubble, the Canberra class, the Canberra reporters, the Canberra politicians are with the real world. She had a lot of support from regular people who were in the gallery, probably visiting from interstate and things like this, thought they'd come and check out their nation's capital, come check out the Senate. They were clapping, literally clapping for Pauline Hanson. So, you know what? Good on her. I don't agree with everything she does, obviously, but you know what? She has a right to talk. And in this particular case, I completely support her.
Perfect. I got a super chat for you from a viewer. I'm just going to pull it up here. It's not related to this. It's just a different question they have about the Bureau of Meteorology. They said, ask Babette about the $95 million bomb website. So I don't know if you know this, but the Bureau of Meteorology website was updated. And I think they spent I don't know if it was exactly $95 million, a lot of money updating the website. And it's, a lot of people are complaining about it. A lot of, it's like, horse shit, for lack of a better term to describe it. The radar, I don't know if you use the weather radar. Apparently the radar is not the same. Have you heard about this website and this change? And or do you want to just give a comment about government waste when it comes to these kind of upgrades?
Look, guys, are you surprised that the government's wasting money? Come on, mate. This is the Australian Labor government here. Wasting money is what they do. Don't worry about it. It's a bottomless. Bag of money they have. Are just going to tax your butt more. That's what they're going to do. Look, I think that the problem with the government, both sides, left or right, it doesn't matter who's in charge. They all waste money. Is that we have a professional political class in charge in Canberra right now, and it's always been like that. These are people that have never run a lot of them haven't, not all of them, but many of them have never run a business, not even like a little, milk bar, fish and chip shop, whatever. They haven't even run that. They don't know how to hire people. They don't know how to do marketing. They don't know how to sit down and do their books and pay the taxes. They don't know anything really about the complexities of real life when you want to generate an income on your own and be self-sufficient. So how can these people be expected to make good decisions when they get into Canberra? They don't. They got no idea. Now, the problem is that not enough regular people that have lived a life, that have, paid their mortgage, that have balanced the books and that have run a small business or a medium business or even a large business are putting their hands up to come to Canberra. It's all of these mostly like lefty types that have, this is just my opinion, that have like a God complex and want to rule over their fellow men and women. They're the kinds of people that end up in Canberra, and they're exactly the wrong type of people to come to Canberra. The right type of person is the person who's sitting at home right now, that's maybe run a small business, even medium, whatever, large, whatever, but doesn't really want to do it, but they
Yeah.
decide to do it because they think it will help their fellow countrymen. They think they'll make a better place for their children, and then they decide to run. The people that have been a part of the political process, being part of the party for the young liberals or the young Labour types or whatever that have been there since they were 15 years old, work their way up the chain, and then eventually got a job in some MP's or senator's office or something like this, and then bided their time, being very patient, and then they got the nod to go on that voting slip, to go on that ticket to become an MP or a senator. They are precisely the wrong people to be doing this kind of thing that we do here in Canberra. These are career politicians. We need to get rid of them. They are so disconnected from the real world that it's not funny. And the main issue, Rukshan, is that the average people are too disconnected from politics. And I get it. You're living your life. You're going to work. You're paying your bills. Your kids got sports on Saturday. Some of you are just being bums and just watching Netflix all day. Fine, whatever, right? But you got to stop that stuff. You have to be involved in the political process, because if you're not involved, the people that are involved, the ones that are here right now, they're going to continue to railroad your ass. That's what they're going to do. I mean, have you looked at your pay slip lately? Have you seen how much tax is coming out of your pay slip? You're paying your income tax, you're paying your GST, you're paying your council rates, you're paying fuel tax. You're getting shafted everywhere you look. And is your country better for it from all the shafting you've received? No. Is your life better today than it was 20 years ago? No. It's worse. And it will continue to get worse unless you do something about it. Mate, no one is coming to save your ass. Nobody is coming to save you. I can't even save you. You have to save yourself. So do something. Do something. Don't just sit at home on X, on YouTube. Maybe you'll leave a comment on this. It's not enough, guys. It's not enough.
I do agree with most of that sentiment for sure. I just want to, before you go, Senator, but I have one more question for you, and that was around this state visit from a Chinese delegation, a pretty high member of the Chinese Communist Party. I'm not sure exactly what position they're in, but they did visit Canberra today, and it was massively locked down Canberra, and you saw a lot of Chinese flags and Australian flags all over the place. But one thing I wanted to ask you about, because I'll probably cover it later in the show when you're not here, but there was this strange request that parliamentarians and staff received. Can you tell us about this request that was received, that's being covered in the news now, for everyone to lock down their devices and for the Wi-Fi in Parliament to be switched off in certain areas? Like, what's going on there? Like, has this ever happened before in your years in Parliament?
Since I've been here in the Senate, it has not happened before. But, the Chinese were visiting Parliament House, like you said, previously, and the security people basically said, turn off all your phones, and we're going to disconnect Wi-Fi in some of the areas where they're going to be walking through. Obviously, they were worried. This is just my opinion once again, but I'm inferring that they were worried about potential espionage from these CCP delegates that were here in Parliament House. I mean, if you really think about it, if they're a friend, if they're such an important partner and all this kind of stuff, do we really have to worry about this if they're coming to our nation's capital? I think it really shows you a glimpse into what our relationship with the CCP, and I'm not saying the Chinese people, the regular folks, I'm saying the Chinese Communist Party is really like. I would like people at home to understand one simple fact, okay? The Chinese Communist Party are not our friends. Doesn't matter what they say, if they're pandas and all that kind of stuff, calling Prime Minister Albanese handsome boy or whatever. They're not our friends. These people are our political rivals. I have absolutely no doubt that if they could potentially, take more control of our country than what they already have. I mean, already, if you really think about it, we don't make anything anymore. They make everything. They buy our prime agricultural land. They own our important critical infrastructure. I mean, one example, which I talked about today in the Senate, the Chinese Communist Party, essentially through one of their corporations, they are in South Australia at the moment, building a renewable energy project, which is going to cost about $120 million. And they're going to control it essentially. So the Australian government is just, giving them the tick and giving them the green light to go and build some critical infrastructure in South Australia. I mean, what is this stuff? Why are we giving?
I did see question time, and you did put those questions to Labor. But interestingly, Labor didn't seem to want to answer any of those. Is that a normal occurrence? Because this time I felt like they literally just shut it down instantly without wanting to go anywhere near that question.
Yeah. So look, usually if you ask a question during question time, they don't answer it anyway. But like you said today, they especially didn't want to answer any of my questions about the CCP and their influence over Australia. At the end of the day, there's one simple solution to all of these problems. Australia needs to become self-sufficient. I mean, we have everything that we need right here. Everything. We don't need anything from anyone. Why don't we manufacture more here? I'll give you an example, okay? One simple example. We dig up iron ore here in Australia. We put it on a ship, we send it to China, and they process it into steel. So we sell it to them for, as an example, hundreds of dollars per ton. They ship it back to us as steel for potentially thousands of dollars per ton. Or they ship it back as iPhones, right? They ship it back as MacBooks or Samsung phone, whatever, right? We can do that here. Now, I'm not saying we're going to open up a whole bunch of factories and make, $2 little widgets and things like this. Of course not. That's ridiculous. But why aren't we making high-end electronics? Why aren't we making MacBooks here? Or chips and AI chips and whatever else. These big ticket things, we should be doing this, and we can do it. There's just a lack of political will to do it. But if we did, and we can potentially decouple from China and stand on our own 2 feet, I would be much more happy about that. But unfortunately, we have political chicken littles, so political cowards roaming around the floors of Canberra right now that don't want to make the hard decisions. They don't, for whatever reason. I don't know what the reasons are, but the decisions that they make, I would never make, because I have the kahunas to do what's right for the country rather than what's politically convenient at the time.
Senator Babette, thank you for your time and gracing us on Rukshan on X. I hope it's a regular thing in the future and you come on more. Today was a surprise visit, and I'm grateful that you came on to talk about these issues, because we're getting it from the horse's mouth, in the sense that you were actually there when those things happened. And I saw the photos of you sitting around Pauline Hanson in the burqa, like iconic photos, I think, that we're going to be looking back in the future when we discuss these times you were sitting there, and you've been a witness to a lot of this. So thank you for all the work that you do in Parliament, and thank you for coming on the show tonight. Hope you get some rest.
Thank you, Mr. Fernando. Bye-bye.
See you, mate. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, guys. So that was an impromptu call-in from Senator Babette. So we're lucky on this show. We get senators calling in as well. Maybe I'll do more of this in the future, because even last week, guys, on the episode, I had a guest on the episode I did last week. We had Monica Smith talking about the rallies which are coming up this weekend in Sydney and in Melbourne. PutAustraliaFirst.com.au, I believe. So I'm going to try to get more guests onto Rukshan on X and have them a part of discussing the news as well. Sometimes for the whole show, sometimes just as drop-in appearances. So I suggested to Senator Babette, and he popped in today. So that was quite funny, because I was not expecting him to call in, even though I had given him the link to call in. So that was quite funny. But guys, let's kind of go back again. I do want to talk a little bit more about Pauline Hanson and the burqa ban that she wants to put through, and the fallout of today, and look at some of the reactions that we've seen from people involved in all of this in the Parliament, in the Senate today. So let me just pull up my X feed and have a look at the reaction from Senator Mehreen Faruqi. Now, she had a fair few things to say in Parliament House today, in the Senate, to Pauline Hanson when she came in with the burqa. A lot of that was
Hanson pulled this.
A lot of that was not audible. So, she was having a back and forth with Pauline Hanson. We heard bits and pieces. She did get the mic at one point and say a few things as well in the Senate to the president about not holding people like Pauline Hanson accountable. But she's gone home, or she's gone to a hotel, wherever she's staying, and she's made this video about what she saw today. So let's have a look at what Mehreen Faruqi, the senator for, the senator for Pakistan, but she might as well be sometimes, the senator for New South Wales from the Greens, had to say about what was happening in Parliament today. Let's have a listen.
Moments ago, One Nation's Pauline Hanson walked into the Senate wearing a burqa. What happened today was nothing short of blatant racism and Islamophobia. And it's not the first time. The Senate has now been suspended after Senator Hanson refused to.
I would like to make the point there. I'm gonna pause these videos as we go, so I don't just listen to them. Anyone can be Muslim. I don't think it's a racial thing. Like, anyone can be a Muslim. A white Australian, if they wanted to, could convert to Islam and wear a burqa if they wanted to. So I don't think it's a racial thing per se, as she's making it out to be.
Chamber. It was almost 10 years ago since Senator Hanson pulled this pathetic stunt the first time. Back then, there were no Muslim women in the Senate. Well, we are here now, and we are not letting this disgusting hate slide. Straight from rubbing shoulders with fascists, billionaires, and the far right in the US, Senator Hanson and One Nation have decided to spin their wheel of racist hate and bring back the Ban the Burqa bill to again pour this toxicity onto Muslims. The parliament should not have a bar of it. People in this country are really struggling in a cost of living crisis. One Nation offers no solutions. They just exploit people's anxieties about the future. They offer old culture wars and hollow publicity stunts that punch down on some of the most targeted communities in this country. Muslim women and communities of color are not political targets. We are not costumes. We are not scapegoats. We live here. This is our home. And we will not sit quietly while our dignity is trampled for headlines.
Marine Faruqi talking all about dignity. I have seen her work in the Parliament House, and on many occasions she has disparaged white Australians in that place. She has disparaged the country of Australia. She has shown disdain and hatred for the history of this country, and she does that very openly, without any regrets. She enjoys doing it, I believe, and she uses her privilege in Parliament to say the most vicious things about Australia and white Australians. And it's just rich to listen to her having a cry now, because I think Pauline Hanson, as all parliamentarians that represent the people of Australia, and especially, Pauline Hanson, she's got a different political outlook to someone like Senator Fareen Maruki from the Greens. And she represents maybe a different demographic even, or people ideologically that have different views about what it means to be an Australian, what the expectations of Australians are in this country. And she has every right in the world to voice those opinions and views, I believe. So I'm talking about Pauline Hanson. She has every right, as ludicrous as people might think it is, to enter that parliament in a burqa. I see no problem whatsoever with her coming in there, because at the end of the day, I see the burqa as a garment. This is what people say it is. It's a garment. If Australians cannot decide to wear whatever garment they want to wear in Parliament House without being a particular group or fit into a particular religious minority group here, and we can't as Australians decide to do whatever we want to do, even if it's for a stunt or whatever it is, then you're no longer really living in a free, democratic nation. There's all these restrictions and controls on you. And, you can have religious freedom, you can have freedom of speech, you can have all these things. But when you start limiting, especially in Parliament House, how people can discuss issues around, race, religion, these kind of topics, it does become problematic, because that is at least the place that you'd think can have the most open of discussions. And look, these politicians, Marine Faruqi, the Greens, Labour, Liberals, they're well within their rights to be offended by what Pauline Hanson is doing and have their views based on that. But, to ban her from being in a burqa because, she's not Muslim or something like this, I think is quite ludicrous. When you look at the way that these groups carry on about different things. And, especially like we've seen so many white politicians from the Greens. And I don't like talking about skin color, but it's important in this particular topic. So many white Australian politicians from the Greens, for instance, wearing a keffiyeh that has nothing to do with their culture. They'll wear it as a prop to make all types of points about Palestine and what's happening there, and to demolish Israel and all these kind of views that they have. They culturally appropriate things that have nothing to do with them, right? And they do it all the time for their little stunts and things like this. So, who cares if Pauline Hanson comes in with a burqa? The best thing that this group could have done is just ignored her. And, they would have voted down the thing anyway on the burqa ban, because Pauline Hanson, I don't believe she has the numbers to get it through. They would have been voted down anyway. But now they've made it into this massive cultural discussing point. And at least from what I'm seeing online, a lot of Australians support Senator Pauline Hanson. In the real world, people support her because they're sick of this crap. They're just sick of this crap of being dictated to everywhere, as even in Parliament House, that to the limits of the discussions that we can have. And I'm not talking about extremism here. I don't think Pauline Hanson did anything hateful. I don't think she did stuff like, some of these kind of Nazi individuals and groups are doing. It was nothing like this. I think it's a valid discussion point that we can have in Australia around the burqa, because many other countries around the world have banned the burqa. This is not a controversial thing when you think of it. Even countries with large Muslim Islamic populations have banned the burqa. So I don't understand the issue with it being discussed in Australian Parliament. Like, what's the big deal? And I'm not even making this up, guys. I'm going to go to Grok now. I'm going to show you the countries where have some type of ban on the burqa. All right. Again, this is these countries' right to do this. And just like that, I think Australia has a right to discuss these things as well. So let's have a look here. All right. Countries with a ban on the burqa or niqab. All right. In Europe, Austria, in public places nationwide, in Belgium, in Bulgaria, in Denmark. These are Western, Denmark, Western, thriving, modern, a model country even, right? France, Germany, right? Partial. Italy, partial. Kosovo, partial. Latvia, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, Russia, Spain, Switzerland. In Asia, China, Kazakhstan, Sri Lanka, Tajikistan, Turkey. Turkey has partial bans on the burqa. All right, so Uzbekistan. In Africa, different continents around the world have these particular bans. So to make it this kind of racial thing, this hatred of, trying to put it on Pauline Hanson as she's being a racist and all these things, and an Islamophobe. No, there's Muslim countries where these things are discussed and they're banned. And it's banned for particular reasons. A lot of it has to do with terrorism. A lot of it also has to do with the fact that people cannot be identified, and there's national security risks sometimes. At least, as I understand, in Sri Lanka, that is why the bans came into place, because a lot of terrorists and things like this were using it as a disguise. And I think that's the same in other places as well. Now, we haven't had those type of problems here in Australia, but even just on the point of Australia being a Western nation that fights for the freedom of women to not be oppressed, to push back against oppressive, practices, right, of foreign cultures and foreign religions, I think is well within the rights of Australia. Like, this is a Christian country after all. This is a foundational Christian nation. And if it wants to set certain particular standards for people that come here, that, yeah, you can practice your religion here, but you can't go to the full extent of wearing this religious garb that is against, especially in public. In private, do whatever you want. In private, do what you want. In your places of worship, do what you want. But in public settings, no, you cannot do this. I think that's a legitimate conversation to have. Now, I'm not saying that to disparage, people of the Muslim faith or Islam. Again, that's not what this is about. I'm saying it's a legitimate conversation to have in Australia. So I don't think Pauline Hanson's done anything wrong in that particular aspect, where these guys are calling her a racist or an Islamophobe. And let's actually watch some of the reactions to this in the Parliament House, because the direct reactions that happened straight after she came about and spoke about this. Let's have a look at that. All right, bear with me, guys. Let's fast forward this video. Let's go here.
Senator Thorpe, resume your seat. Senator Thorpe, resume your seat. Senator Thorpe. Senator Faruqi.
President, a dress code might be a choice of the senators, but racism should not be the choice of the Senate. This is a racist senator displaying blatant racism and Islamophobia, President, and someone should pull her up on that.
Senator Faruqi.
And it is you in the chair. You should be pulling her up on that.
Resume your seat. Senator Payman, on the same issue, I take it?
What else would I be talking about, Deputy President? Because if this is about the dress code, she is disrespecting a faith. She is disrespecting the Muslims out there, Muslim Australians. It's absolutely unconstitutional. This needs to be dealt with immediately before we proceed. It's disgraceful.
Senator-
It's
I just got to go back on that because I don't. Payman's obviously, both Marine Faruqi and Senator Payman are very. I don't want to use the word triggered. Like, obviously, they're people from a particular worldview in terms of, ideologically, they're triggered normally anyway. So they're always like this when it comes to dealing with someone like Pauline Hanson. It doesn't matter about this burqa issue. They're always calling people racist, is what I'm trying to say. So, but, they do say things when they're talking that don't really make sense. And here, I think, is one of those points.
the Muslims out
Senator
there, Muslim
Faruqi.
Australians. It's absolutely unconstitutional.
Now, I don't believe there's anything unconstitutional about Pauline Hanson wearing a burqa if she wanted to. I think anyone in this country should be free to get that garment if they want to. It's just a piece of clothing at the end of the day. As much as they're trying to attach to it, there is an element of this where it's just a piece of clothing. All right, it's a garment you can purchase and you can dress in it if you want to. Now, it might offend people. But guys, we can be offended in Australia. Like, you gotta be able to be offended. It might offend people, right? People might say it's cultural appropriation, but if you want, you can do it. If you want to wear it for a Halloween costume, if you want to make fun of people, all right, you can probably do it, right? You can wear this costume if you want to wear it to a dress up. You can do it. Like, people will say it's distasteful and they'll have issues with it, but you can do it. I don't think it's unconstitutional. Fatima Payman, if someone wears a burqa. All right, I just wanted to get that across.
This needs to be dealt with immediately before we proceed. It's disgraceful.
Senator Payman,
it is a
resume
shame.
your seat. Senator Payman, resume your seat. Your position has been made clear. This is a matter for the entire Senate chamber. I have made the previous rulings of this Senate clear. If the Senate wants to change that ruling, that is a matter for the entire chamber, not for me. Senator Whish-Wilson, if this is on the same matter, I'm not going to entertain any more.
Order, that's different, Deputy President.
Senator Whish-Wilson.
Senator Hanson is using a prop in the Senate, and it's a dangerous prop. Dangerous
Senator
to this country.
Whish-Wilson.
But
I think this is a Greens guy again. These guys, like, whatever you think of what Pauline Hanson is trying to do with banning the burqa, these guys are making some of the argument for her. This guy's got it up now. He said, "Oh, it's a prop. This is a burqa. It's just a prop." It's also a dangerous prop for this country. We shouldn't have dangerous pieces of clothing in Australia. Like, clothing should not be offensive or dangerous. It shouldn't be a problem. The fact that people are offended by this is more of a problem, in my opinion. This is not the kind of free society that we should live in, where this becomes an issue. So I don't think it shouldn't be dangerous. Like, this is what we're being reduced to in this country.
I ask that you rule on her bringing a prop into the Senate.
Senator-
It is not her normal dress code, Deputy President. It is clearly a prop to make a political statement. If I was to wear a Greens T-shirt in here or a Fremantle Dockers shirt or
Senator
whatever, I would get shown the door.
Resume your seat.
And Gio, great comment. It's like watching kindergarten kids. It is like that sometimes, and I spend a lot of time during parliamentary sittings. I pretty much watch all of it. It's just playing in the background while I'm working, and this is kind of what it's like. It is like a school for kids, and the Senate president, for instance, is like the teacher or the principal, trying to keep everything in line. But yeah, that's what happened today, and the reaction we watched of Marine Faruqi earlier. I want to also see the reaction from Fatima Payman. She did put something out as well. And I know, look, guys, I know I'm spending a lot of time on this, but I hope you're getting something out of it. And seeing these different perspectives from these people on this issue, because I think this will be talked about over the next 2-3 days. This will be like the issue that everyone's kind of talking about. Your locker room talk when you go to work, people will be talking about this burqa thing, and you people are going to have different opinions on this. And let's just hear what these guys have to say on it as well.
People of every burqa didn't raise your rent. Pauline knows that the burqa didn't cause the housing crisis. Working people of every background are being squeezed from all sides, and Pauline Hanson wants you to blame brown people for it. the burqa didn't raise your rent. Pauline knows that the burqa didn't cause the housing crisis.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if any of that is kind of related. Pauline Hanson, as many of you know, even I think 10 years ago, she also tried to ban the burqa then. She continues to try to ban the burqa. And I think, we need senators in there that want to ban certain things like this, which are against what they believe in, what many Australians are also opposed to. It's okay. We're going to always have people that want to ban things, that want to, change some of the things which have changed over time in Australia, and they want to push back against it. I think that's a legitimate thing to do. I don't think it's necessarily linked to housing prices and things like this when it comes to the burqa issue per se. I know we have wider discussions around immigration and mass immigration and the impact it's having on Australia on many different fronts, but I don't think this burqa thing is necessarily related to that. I think what Pauline Hanson is talking about, from my understanding, is that it is culturally incompatible with Australia, and it also poses, various security risks. But let's just hear from Pauline Hanson herself. She did appear on a TV show, so I haven't watched this yet either. I did save it to watch it with you guys. So let's have a listen in on Pauline Hanson and what she had to say about this on television today. And I'll try to bookmark some of your comments to bring them up on screen, and we'll talk about what you guys are having to say as well. Let's have a listen in on the Bolt Report.
From public spaces. Now, Hanson was abused by several senators and not allowed to defend herself, while Muslim Senator Fatima Payman could freely wear her hijab. Hanson wasn't even allowed to speak in her defence before the Senate was suspended after she refused to leave, although others were given a free shot at her.
But racism should not be the choice of the Senate. This is a racist senator displaying blatant racism and Islamophobia, President.
If this is about the dress code, she is disrespecting a faith. She is disrespecting the Muslims out there, Muslim Australians. It's absolutely unconstitutional. This needs to be dealt with immediately before we proceed.
Clearly, what has happened today is not a genuine demonstration of faith. In fact, it is the middle finger to people of faith. It is extremely racist and unsafe.
Senator Hanson, all of us in this place have a great privilege in coming into this chamber, a great privilege. And we represent, in our states, people of every faith, of every faith.
Even the Liberal leader in the Senate, another woman, attacked Hanson. So much for free speech and democracy. But Hanson, on her way out, did give a little speech to members of the public who've been watching on, explaining what she was doing and why. They, at least, very interesting, gave her a round of applause and called out, "Good on you, Pauline." And now Pauline Hanson will explain herself to you. Pauline Hanson, thank you so much for joining me. Why wear the burqa in the Senate? Now, you did it 8 years ago and did cause outrage among some, so why do it again?
Yeah. Andrew, today I moved on the floor of Parliament. As a senator, I have a right to move a private member's bill, and that bill was under the Criminal Code amendment to prohibit the burqa or full face covering in public places. Now, I wanted to introduce that bill. My concern is, as a nation, for national security, terrorist threats and attacks that are happening, also for women's rights, that they're not forced to wear the full burqa against their will. And it's, I think it goes against our culture and our way of life. And this is why I wanted to introduce the bill. Now, I just started to introduce the bill, and it took one voice, Andrew. There was a couple actually said no, denied me the right. So straight away they denied me the right to ban the burqa. So I actually left the chamber, went up and I put the burqa on. And I thought, well, if you won't ban the burqa, then I'm going to wear it. Well, didn't that upset them? They didn't want me to wear the burqa in Parliament. They don't want to ban it, but they don't want me to wear it in Parliament. So what do they want? They're a bunch of hypocrites.
Well, I have to say that did occur to me too, but that said, the President, Sue Lines, has said that this is in fact a religious requirement. The senators there were saying you are mocking a faith then by wearing it, and therefore you shouldn't be allowed to wear it. In fact, you've been asked for an assurance that you won't wear it in future because it's supposedly insulting Islam. Your response?
That's correct, what you're saying. Andrew, let me make it quite clear. I do have the utmost respect for people of what faith they may be. And that's why I stood up for the Jewish people. I'm not Jewish, but I stood up for their rights. I've stood up for, Christians and Buddhists and different ones, and even with Muslims, that's a person's faith. Do I agree with everything they do? No, I don't, but that's a person's faith. The burqa is not a religious requirement. It's been introduced by men hundreds of years ago, and that was about controlling the women. They didn't want their women's flesh to be seen, so it's basically controlling women. It goes against our culture and our way of life. Sue Lyons saying that it is a religious requirement.
Let's pause that there because, I just wanted to make that point, that what I was saying before. I was guessing. But yeah, the main problem that Pauline Hanson has, the main reason is around the cultural incompatibility of something like the burqa. And I think she's made some valid points around the oppression of women that we discussed as well. And again, there is a debate around whether it's religiously required or not, because a lot of Islamic or Muslim cultures, they use different variations of head coverings. Again, you see in Catholicism and Christian faiths and things like this, especially the Catholic faith, people use head veils in particular locations or is at church at particular times of prayer. The discussion around the burqa is around its oppressive, anti-women aspects that are incompatible with Western culture. And regardless of what faith you are, even if you're Muslim, I think you have to accept that when you are in a foreign nation, be it Australia, foreign to your particular cultural views and values that might be acceptable where you come from or where your family comes from, your heritage, there might be parts of it that you cannot practice in Australia. And I think that's okay. This idea that somehow religious freedom means everything is, go and, you can dominate in religiously or particular views. I don't think that's possible because there are incompatibilities with all types of faiths and religions, and you cannot practice it the exact same way in the West. But of course, we've seen that barrier breaking over time, and we do see other cultures and other religions dominating, which is why you're seeing a pushback, even again, after 8 years from Pauline Hanson today, because it continues to be an issue in Australia. Anyway, let's keep watching the video.
They don't understand Islamic culture or law. So I'm trying to say, let these people who come here to this country, let these women, let them assimilate, because all you're doing is just keep them covered up. What do we do for driver's licences? What do we do in public places and all these other things? People, the general public, feel they're being treated totally different. Those people walk into banks or other venues with a helmet on. They're told immediately, get it off, we have to see a face. What are they going to do? How are they going to deal with it when we have facial recognition? What are they going to do? How are they going to deal with it?
Yeah, but I've heard a lot of Muslim activists and etc. say, no, these women choose to wear the burqa. It should be their right to dress as they see fit. Now, against that, I will point out that I was in Afghanistan when the Taliban were first chased out, and I saw a lot of women without the burqa. The men of the Taliban came back, and suddenly burqas everywhere. So that did seem to be some sort of compulsion there. But what about to women who say, no, it's my free choice?
Well, good, that's your free choice. Wear it around your house. I don't care what you do there. But in public places, why shouldn't the general public feel safe and knowing who's approaching them? Is it a man underneath there? How do we know they're there to commit a crime in our society? We don't know that. Are we going to take it for granted? When I wore the burqa the first time in the Parliament,
many examples
well, you
of that,
should have seen the look on their faces. Sorry?
I haven't seen examples of men in burqas committing crimes, though.
You don't know. How do you know that they're not wearing it as a cover-up to commit a crime? How do we know that? Full face coverings, we don't need it. My bill covered also full face coverings, Andrew, not just the burqa. Okay, so full face coverings. Then you ask yourself the question, why have so many countries banned the burqa? Why have Islamic countries banned it as well? So you've got to ask yourself that question. Do we want to see this country go the way of France, Denmark, or even Great Britain, the way it is now. And I don't want to see it go that way. Why shouldn't we have open facades so people can see who you are? Why shouldn't these people assimilate? And that's another thing, Andrew. How do we know that these people are not going to end up on our welfare system? You know, are they employable? I don't know. There's a lot of questions here, but they never gave me the ability to debate this bill on the floor of Parliament. They shut it down. Why not have debate? Why not have counter arguments against me? Why? And let the public know the way it should think. But no, they don't. They just shut me down completely. It can't be debated. Finished. It's gone.
Well, here you touch on something that does concern.
I'll stop that there. I think she gave some really good answers. And again, you might not agree with her, and a lot of people in the country even might not agree with her. Clearly, it's a divisive topic. That's fine, but it was not debated, like she said, in a manner that it should have been. And everyone just freaked out. And it's one of these things where we cannot talk about something that's happened in other parts of the world legitimately. For some reason, when we try to talk about these issues in countries like Australia, everyone just freaks out, right? And I got an example of someone freaking out, which is another politician, Julian Hill. Let me just find that video, and we'll have a look at him freaking out about this as well. So Julian Hill, he's written, Senator Pauline Hanson doesn't actually give a shit about you. If she wants to play dress-ups and offend people, she should just go home. Let's have a listen to what Julian Hill says.
Just shits on groups. Senator Pauline Hanson's latest burqa stunt is frankly just boring. It's from her same old tired racist playbook. She didn't just get up this morning and look in the wardrobe and think, oh, what am I going to put on today? Oh, I'll get out the burqa and put it on. She does this deliberately, to offend people and to create outrage. She just shits on groups of her fellow Australians when it suits her. Pauline Hanson doesn't care about you. She doesn't care about improving the lives of Australians, doing the actual hard work of the Parliament and policy. She spent the last 2 weeks flouncing around America instead of being here doing her job. If she just wants to play dress-ups or disrupt the place, she should bugger off and go home and do it on her own time. Let the Parliament get on with the work we're here to do, to debate legislation, to deliver, and to actually improve people's lives. Senator Pauline Hanson...
So that's Julian Hill, federal member, federal MP for Bruce. I believe he's from Dandenong. He's a member for Dandenong. So very, immigrant-type communities up that way in his seat, Labour member. And that's the view that he has. And you can see, like when we discuss this topic in Australia, everyone freaks out. And it is just, I think, it's a weakness in the West. And we've been discussing a lot about immigration, mass immigration, all these kind of topics. And, when we look at, like we looked at before on Grok, the countries that have banned the burqa, you're seeing a lot of Asian countries, a lot of African countries. They've had these discussions and decided for their national security interests or whatever, let's ban it. But Australia, it's like, no. And I truly believe, and this might offend people, but one of the biggest impediments to improving the West, one of the biggest impediments, I believe, to, fixing certain issues. And one of the biggest issues that white people have to contend with is other white people. I'm making that distinction because we've had a lot of discussions around white Australians and their particular views of what's happened to Australia over the years. But I think one of the biggest issues that you have to contend with is there is not the same view across the board when it comes to white Anglo-Celtic Australians on these topics. You're getting a mix of different views and pushback against each group or each particular view. It's not uniformed. Whereas I found in, when this is discussed, for instance, in Asian countries or African countries, even in Europe sometimes, these things just naturally it's good for our national interests, we're going to do it. And, it's not looked at as this massive debate that needs to be had. It's like, this is a practical solution to the problems that we're seeing. We don't necessarily see that anymore happening in the West. What we have is any particular issue that might offend a particular demographic based in a particular electorate will mean that people have to jump up and down and virtue signal. and things don't get done. And people say it's a feature of democracy of the West, and we have a lot of freedom, and we enjoy that freedom, and we have religious freedom, and yes, it is an amazing thing. But sometimes it can also hold back fixing issues that we see very clearly in our societies. Now, whether that's good or bad, it's a discussion for another time. Let me just get to some of your comments, guys, and I'll just bring up the super chats first. We got one from here from Brittany, who says, it's very peaceful with no Avi. Guys, that's one of the benefits of subscribing just to Rukshan. So follow me on YouTube if you haven't already, so you can hit the notification bell and my show will come up. I do it on Mondays and Wednesdays normally when I have time. I try to be regular as much as I can. And no Avi. It's just me. It's not like Tuesday and Thursdays with Avi and the Opposition podcast. Just Rukshan is very chill. So Brittany, thanks for the super chat and thank you for making a mention of that. We got Equity here who says, puffer burqa for those Melbourne winter protest. Just got to piss people off, even laughing about these things. What other comments did I save here? Let's have a look here. We got here from Daniel. Are you going to be posting on Rumble? I missed your answer before. I will be back on Rumble, Daniel. I will get Rumble linked up again. Probably from next week onwards. I've fixed up a few things in the back end to get that to happen more seamlessly. Right now, the system that I have works very seamlessly. I would love to be able to pull in Rumble comments as well. And so definitely, I know some of you guys like to use Rumble, and I would like to be able to do that going forward. We got Dan Mack here who says, if the burqa is racist, then why are millions of women made to wear them daily? Does that make the men of Islam racist, or Islam itself that is racist? I think what they're trying to say is that the intention behind why Pauline Hanson wore the burqa was racist because she's trying to make a point against Muslim Australians or Islamic Australians. But like I said before, anyone can be a Muslim. It's not a race thing. Like it's a faith, it's a religion. So anyone can become Muslim. So a white Australian being a Muslim, although not very common, would not necessarily be something that is not acceptable. And if they wanted to wear a burqa for whatever reason, which we've seen in many European countries after people have converted do, it's not really a race thing, the outfit you decide to wear. I think what they're saying is the intention behind why Pauline Hanson herself appeared in the Senate in the burqa is racist. Ivan says the Greens are Faruqi's useful idiots. She uses them to attack the demographics she hates, and she gets paid quite well for it. Australia truly is the lucky country for her. Yes and no. I think the Greens are also, woke. They're virtue signalers. They all love to jump up and down, support the most ridiculous things. They're very anti-Australian, in my opinion. They've passionately been defending, for instance, the foreign interests of foreign countries, especially as it relates to Palestine. And they've been jumping up and down for 2-3 years, even basing their election campaigns around this particular topic. Now, again, I'm not saying that Australian politicians should not care about foreign politics. That's not what I'm saying. But it's very obvious the Greens would rather put those issues at the forefront of the decisions they make, and Australians right at the back, right? If you're Australian, you're right at the back. If you're a white Australian, you're really right at the back, because, there's like a hierarchy of groups that the Greens prefer to look after first. And that usually includes, immigrant groups, refugees, asylum seekers, Indigenous people, this like a layers of different individual groups that they want to look into first. And then everything else comes right at the end. And look, their argument is that, for everyone else, the Labour Party and the Liberal Party looks out for them. We look out for the little guy. That's the argument. But I do see someone like a Marine Faruqi is able to exploit that for her ends as well, right? Because it's very hard for the Greens to call out people like Marine Faruqi, right? Because they believe in this world of racism that they've created for themselves where everyone's a racist. So can you imagine them if they rebuke Marine Faruqi about something? She'll just call them racist, right? So that, and I believe that's happened before as well. So they're very careful with people like this for sure. Panda Brown says they say wearing the burqa or hijab is culture, yet the senators made it all about faith. I agree, they did do that. And Britannia Man Dan, thanks for the comment, mate. It says if they ban other groups from wearing motorcycle helmets in stores, etc. Surely those that support equality would support banning the burqa there too. Yes, there is this hypocrisy when it comes to a lot of this. Rules for you and rules for thee and not for me type situation. And again, there's a very small group of people in our society that wear a full burqa. This you have to accept that. But there is this disparity in the enforcement around masks or helmets and things like this, and the acceptance of that. And you make a great point, mate. You make a great point. DK Mart says maybe she should have worn the same little hat you wore in Israel. I did wear a kippah in Israel when I was at the Western Wall, and look, I have no problem putting on when I'm at religious places. I'm in lots of different religious places for my work when I work at weddings, and I respect and observe their customs in the particular temples or religious institutions that I have to attend. It is their holy places. It is the places that they revere, and I respect that, and I adhere to certain customs and traditions that they may have to be in that particular space. I don't really mind. I just accept it. It's fine, but outside of that venue or outside of that space, let's say in a public space in Australia, for instance, then no, not one particular group or group of people should dominate that. And if there's a concern around a particular dress, and that is how we should expect to live as well, because we should not be able to force on other people things that we ourselves, our faith, we shouldn't be able to force it onto people, if that makes sense. Let's keep moving on, guys. So that's Pauline Hanson. Obviously we'll probably discuss this tomorrow as well on the opposition podcast, but I really wanted to spend a bit of time just kind of laying it all out today because it's very fresh. This one also I discussed with Senator Babette, but I'll quickly read this article and probably move on just to get to the next topic and make up a bit of time. Ooh, let me just close that bar up. China delegation a security threat. A visit to Canberra by China's number 3 leader has sparked a warning over Beijing state-sponsored hacking, with MPs and staffing his time in the building. So I was in the building during that time, guys, and yes, it is a real thing. There was a direction sent out, tell us all to switch off our devices or don't go on the Wi-Fi during this time. The chairman of China's National People's Congress, Zhao Leji, will meet with Anthony Albanese in his office on Tuesday morning after attending an official dinner at Parliament House on Monday night. In an email to MPs and senators marked sensitive and do not distribute further, the Department of Parliamentary Services urged additional precautions amid fears members of Mr. Zhao's delegation could include state security personnel with cyber capabilities. I mean, you are literally inviting the fox into the henhouse, right? This is what's going on in Australia. Like, they're so worried. Apparently we're friends and having this cordial relationship with these individuals, but guys, you got to take these extra precautions and security measures, because we don't know if these Chinese guys who are coming from the CCP will have with them people with cyber capabilities to infiltrate into our parliament itself. Now, you might be like, well, look, it's a fair thing to do to take our security seriously. But again, we are dealing with a friend that is potentially hostile towards us. Like, when you have friends come over to your house, a point that Senator Babette made earlier, you don't switch off all your devices and lock everything up, right? If I'm talking about people that you have a good relationship with, you don't run up and quickly lock everything up, and they might take my phone or they might steal my jewelry from this particular place. You're quite trusting of people that you know and trust, and that is a part of being a friend and having a friendship. They just kind of, it's like they come into your house, and it's like their house, and you kind of have this relationship. That is kind of what friendship is. But when it comes to the CCP, obviously the Australian government is being on the front foot and, trying to protect our interests as well, because they tacitly know that it is a potential security threat. So, I saw the motorcades today that were happening. There was lots of, places fenced up and locked up. It's like a big deal. It's a big visit for Australia in terms of the security measures which are taking place in Canberra at the moment. But I don't think we're equal partners. I don't think we're in the same, position And I think there is a disparity in the relationship, and it's almost as if Australia is in an abusive relationship with China, and we just have to take it. We just have to let them in, even though they might hack us and, you know, steal our data and, you know, install some type of virus in Canberra or whatever it is that they're worried about that they'll do. We just got to let them in because we have no choice. We're so dependent on them that we have to deal with this. And look, it's a sad place for a country to be on. You can go read this article, guys. It's called China Delegation and Security Threat. But it's something that wasn't really too widely covered today because we did have a lot of this drama with Pauline Hanson. But I think, you know, when I, for instance, when I assess our relationship with China, I will definitely remember reading or hearing about that particular directive, and just to understand how serious it is for Australia. Anyway, let's keep moving on. I'll go to the next topic now because I've talked about that a lot. This is one of you know, I'm going to bring up this article from The Australian, but it's more wide-ranging than it just as it relates to the Israel-Gaza issue. Let me make that clear. And that is that new X location tool exposes fake Gaza accounts. The new location tool on X has revealed that a large number of users seeking donations while claiming to be posting from inside Gaza are actually outside the zones and taking advantage of the war. The social media company recently unveiled a feature that publicly displays key background information about an account, including the location on where it's based. The feature has already unmasked a sprawling ecosystem of accounts taking advantage of disasters and political unrest across the world, including inside the Gaza Strip. At least some accounts on X profiting off the war in Gaza have been revealed to be fueled by people outside the zone, according to the platform's new location feature. So literally how it works is I'm going to go to my X and show you guys if you don't know that this feature is available. And I think it's a good feature. I actually think you know, this is something that's been missing, and people have different views on this because they're like, people like to be anonymous and they like to you know, have a degree of anonymity online, especially people that don't use their real names. And I get that as well. I get in today's day and age why some people want to be anonymous. But we do have this thing that is massively growing, I think, which is foreign interference in a way that we haven't really dealt with, you know, decades gone by. And that is that we have these large accounts that grow over time, that are completely anonymous, that claim to be, you know, Australian or American. Let's say for these examples, I'm saying they're American. In the article we read, they were talking about accounts pretending to be from Palestine. And they, you know, share content, they share opinions, they share, you know, photographs, and they talk about, for a war, for instance, at the time, like, this is happening right now, we need to raise money, this is the links to send donations. So there's a lot of these kind of activities going on, and we don't really know exactly where these people are based and who they are, right? Like, not everyone knows. Like, I'm always suspicious of anonymous accounts. And again, I understand why people are anonymous, but I'm always suspicious of any account that's anonymous, that I don't know who the person is. And even if I know the person, if they're not very clear about where they're from or the background and all these kind of things, again, I'm very careful around this. So, so I didn't know there ads. I just got interrupted here. A lot of interruptions with ads tonight, Rukshan, accumulating revenue. I don't know. I just gotta go automatically. I don't know where you're watching, Martina. You're watching on YouTube. You can get YouTube Premium. I'm not trying to shield YouTube's products as well, but it sucks. I have to get a lot of these premium products because these services do put ads in, and you know, it's one way of supporting creators for sure. And I get that. I apologize if there's ads. But back to what I was talking about. So if you go to an account on X right now, and you click on my one, for instance, joined October 2019, you can see that, you know, I joined in 2019. I was on X years before that on a different account, which unfortunately I got was banished during one of the purges that used to happen with the left wing. But this is a new account that I made in 2019. It's an account based in Australia. Okay, that's important. This symbol here means that there's a VPN that I'm using. So it says it might not be accurate, and that's because I do use a VPN when I go online, and that's fair. It's legitimate use of VPN, but it's usually very accurate what's here. It shows when I'm verified. It shows you how many times I've changed my username. And importantly, it shows you the App Store from where the installation of X or Twitter or where I registered the account from was linked to this particular App Store. And I think that kind of gives you a bit of an idea. On the other hand, we can go to a friend of ours, a friend of the show's. Let me just pull that up. Give me a second. I gotta pull this one up. It's very important. All right, we're gonna go to a friend of a show's. This is Mr. RV Ebony. I'll question him on this tomorrow as well. But you go into his account, joined December 2009, long time ago. And we got here, date joined 2009. Account based in Israel. Oh, suspicious. All right, verified December 2021. Affiliate of Rebel News. Yeah, we know that's where he works. And connected via the Australian App Store. So this is an example just of Avi's account. Obviously, we all know Avi. And we know he's in Australia. We know he's based in Australia. And he's not someone that's pretending not to be Australian. He lives in Australia. And he does his news coverage in Australia for years and years. But, people have had suspicions around Avi. And, this might confirm that, his account is based in Israel. Now, he has recently been in Israel traveling. So we don't really know how this exactly gathers that particular data and how it tracks that. But Avi has been there for a while. I don't know if this is confirmation of whether he's Mossad or not. I can ask him directly tomorrow, guys. He did. I did share this yesterday as well on my X. Let me just pull that up. Let me just go down. Sorry, I'm flicking through my X. Do share a lot of stuff here. I said, got him. No one is surprised. Are you guys surprised that Avi is account based in Israel? I'm not surprised. And to that which he shared, just to show you how this can be manipulated, he said he shared one saying, my account is based in Israel and I'm connected via Mossad in Tel Aviv. So you can make that a lot of these America First style accounts, a lot of these Groper style accounts have been based in places like Bangladesh, places like India, places like Pakistan, Turkey, for instance. This is a big account that talks a lot about US politics. Guys, am I still online? I think it went on offline. Let me know if I'm still online. I don't know what happened. Am I still here? Are we still here, guys? Because something just I was talking about Israel and Mossad and Avi, and my system just crapped itself, and I'm back online, I think. Let me know. Maybe it's true, all that stuff. I don't know. Something definitely happened. I swear to God, I don't know what happened, but I was talking about Avi too much and talking about his links to these foreign governments and things like this, and it just went offline. So, but yeah, I think we're back. I don't know if I started another stream. I'm sorry. I apologize, but we're back. We're back for now. I don't know what on earth was going on, but I was talking about these Groper accounts. I'm freezing, am I? Okay. We'll finish up soon. I might finish up the show sooner, guys, because I feel like I'm having technical difficulties with the hotel Wi-Fi. Susie said there's big storms in Melbourne. But yeah, look, that was the main thing that I wanted to talk about, guys, is that, we have to be alert in terms of these online accounts, especially anonymous accounts, sharing information and trying to change our views and opinions on politics. Now, again, people will say to me, Rukshan, well, you're like, you say all these things and you have all these opinions. Yeah, that's fine. I talk about politics in America. I talk about politics in the UK. I talk about politics in parts of Europe. Yeah, that's all true. But people know that I'm in Australia. People know that I'm Australian. People know what my views are. People know I'm doxxed. They know my name. They know who I am. Okay, so I'm talking about US politics. You don't have to pay the same kind of attention to me because it's not as, it doesn't carry the same weight. It's like if an American was talking about something happening in Victoria, in Melbourne. They're not really connected to it. It's not the same thing. All right. As an interest, yes. I talk about US politics, and there's a crossover sometimes with the US politics and Australian politics. We talk about those things. That's fine. I'm not saying that's an issue. What I'm saying is when you have these clear foreign bot farms of these fake anonymous accounts being set up to subvert Western nations, it's problematic, and we do have to be alert to that being something that's happening a lot, and something that's going to be happening even more and more into the future. Now, this particular tool from X allows us to see just a glimpse of maybe where people are, and I think it's a good thing. There are complaints against it, but I think it's good, my personal opinion. But going into the future, they're going to get smarter around this thing, and if you're taking on political views, and if you got anonymous accounts, these troll accounts that don't have any skin in the game in terms of knowing who they are, again, take everything with a grain of salt. All right, that's my personal advice, because there's a lot of antics happening online. There's a lot of foreign adversaries wanting to subvert the West and sow discord amongst the people of the West and stop the progress of the West for their own nefarious reasons, and we have to be alert to this. So yeah, guys, look, I'm having technical issues ever since I started speaking about Mossad, right? And Avi Yemeni. I've been hit with an attack again. I'm joking, this is all jokes. Let's bring up the super chat, and I'll probably end the show a little bit earlier, and just answer some of your questions if you've joined back in on the show. So we've got here Equity, a serious question: what do you think about UFOs? I definitely I'm not a UFO like a super interested in that topic per se, but I do believe that there's a lot of unexplained activities that whether they're alien or not, I think there's a lot of unexplained phenomena that has been recorded or filmed or has been kept private from people, and for whatever reason, finding about these things today, because a lot of the things that we hear about UFOs and things like this happened ages ago, and it's always hard to match it up exactly what may be happening. If you ever think about the time you're living in today, right now, how often do we hear about an anomaly like this? It's very little. So I'm not dismissing extraterrestrial life or UFOs or things like this. I think there's legitimate avenues of investigation into those areas, but yeah, I'm not a UFO buff, let's just put it that way. So guys, last 15 minutes, I'm just going to take questions from you, so go for it, and we'll end the show there, because I'm just having so many issues here with my internet. I'm just seeing funny things. I don't know if it's working properly, so let's just take it easy. Don't go, brother. Don't go there, brother. Okay, I thought you said don't go there. Demonic activity. Odenball says, I saw a pure white dog out in the bush. I told a local Aboriginal and they said the exact spot I saw it was their dream time. A white ghost dog lives. Look, I have seen, when I'm traveling to different places, weird phenomena in the sky. Like, actually, I'm not going to go into it, but I have seen things that have made me stop and question. Yeah, let's not go into that now. Yeah, I grew up in southeast suburbs, and I have heard about this Westall Primary School thing, if we're talking about the same thing. Susie says, a lot of unexplained phenomena here in Australia. I wish the aliens would come and take me to somewhere normal. Yeah, I don't know what aliens would want to do with us. Like, if aliens come right now to this world that we live in, what will they make of this world? Because it is like pretty messed up. Is Benji based in Israel too? I don't know. We should check Benji's ex. I'll remember to check his ex. Valerie K says, yeah, unexplained phenomena, more like CIA, FBI, BS going on. Lol. Look, I think a lot of the stuff that was happening around, the 40s, 50s, and 60s, because that's when there's a lot of sightings. There was a lot of experimentation going on in terms of military hardware and equipment, as far as I can tell, during that era, and even later on in the US especially. And people may have seen things. There was obviously a lot of foreign intrusions into American airspace or vice versa, and people may have seen things. Again, there could be other reasons for all of this as well. I'm not going to go down that path. Maybe we can do an episode on aliens. Maybe I can get an alien expert to come in one day. Let's see. Brittany Montana Meow says, when is the next Rukshan On X podcast? So I'm hoping to be back on Wednesday on a podcast again. I fly back to Melbourne, and I should get there back on time to do a show on Wednesday. So hopefully that can be done. Underrated comment. I think aliens lock their doors while flying past Earth. Yeah. Can you just imagine all the aliens talking about Earth and the stories that they've heard about the Earthlings? They'll be like, is that really a place that you want to go and visit or take over? No. Another underrated comment, as someone who flies a lot now, I saw a weird shit in the sky. A Jetstar flight and not cancelled and on time. Blew my mind. Yeah. The other night on the way to Canberra, I spent like 3 hours at the airport because the flight was delayed. It wasn't Jetstar, it was Virgin, but yeah, we do have a poor track record with our domestic flights being delayed. Oh, did you see the new Dan mural in Melbourne, Rukshan? That was one of the stories that I had lined up. Let me see if I can pull that up and appreciate the artwork with you guys. This has actually pissed a few people off, especially Dan Fangirl, who was not very happy about this, I think. But, I think this is a good, realistic depiction of Daniel Andrews. It is real life art, true life art. What's the term for it? Let's have a look. Yeah, I think this is an accurate portrayal. This is looks like Daniel Andrews. The description matches well. The stamp says dictator right in front. I think we should find this artist, and whatever money that we were giving to put towards the Daniel Andrews statue, apparently that we're doing in this state, should go towards this artist. I think they've done a great public service, a very accurate portrayal of our esteemed former dictator Daniel Andrews, who's actually very cozy with the CCP. If anyone that we should turn our Wi-Fi off around, it should be Daniel Andrews, because potentially, if you've seen his relationship with the CCP, he was there at some military honors thing not that long ago, a few months ago, with Xi Jinping. All right, this is our former premier that tried to hook us up with the Belt and Road and sell us out to China, and took secret trips to China while he was the premier without any media. This guy's very cozy with them. So, I think this is a good portrait. Is this in Hosier Lane? Yeah, I might want to go see this actually before it's, eventually it'll get drawn over. Maybe we should save it as a continuous landmark. It's a fantastic piece, DML, I agree. Austin Oil says the ears need to be a bit bigger. Can we get one done for Jacinta Allen? Yeah. Why not? I did see this as well, Martina, where billionaire James Packer called Dan Andrews human filth. Yes, obviously, James Packer's had a bit of a mixed life as well. Yes, he's a billionaire, of course. But yeah, it was interesting to see that comment, and I think Jacinta Allen even responded to it today. Steve Stove says Pauline Hanson will be in Melbourne on Sunday. Yeah, I believe One Nation are having a gala, like a dinner, like a ball for people. I don't know if the tickets are still available. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, if the tickets are still available and you're a One Nation fan, you should probably head along. And also, what's happening this weekend on Sunday, there's also the Put Australia First rally. So let me just do a little plug for that before I finish off the show for today. And I'll just play a video that Morgan Jonas was sharing Let's bring that up.
Australia is on the ropes. Mass immigration is ruining our way of life. Digital identity is abolishing our privacy, and soaring energy prices are sending more and more Australian families down the pathway of poverty. Simply put, we cannot continue this way. The government and the politicians have let us down and they have sold us out. The only way to get Australia back on track is for we the people to gather in numbers to the likes of which our nation has never seen before, for the core objective of putting Australia first. To that end, I'm inviting you and everybody you know to stand with us.
That's the Put Australia First March. Someone was asking, Hilly was asking, is this week's march an NSN one or not? Well, from everything the organisers have said, it is no way linked to the NSN. They are making efforts to obviously tell them to stay the hell away, as well as they have said on numerous broadcasts that if they do see them, they will be kicked out of the event or moved on, or they'll let authorities know. Now, it's an open public event. Obviously, you can't stop people from coming. But obviously, if there's people trying to disrupt the event and things like this, they will not allow that to happen. Again, guys, I'm going to finish up now. The Wi-Fi, wherever I am in this hotel, especially with the CCP around in Canberra, maybe that's why I'm having issues. But thank you so much for joining in. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Rukshan on X. I'll be in tomorrow on the opposition podcast with RV Yemeni. We'll be discussing some more of these issues. So love to have you guys there. That starts at around 7 p.m. And then on Wednesday, I'll be back with Rukshan on X at my usual home studio location. But thank you so much, guys. If you're enjoying this, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell on YouTube. And you can find me on X, Facebook, Instagram, all the usual spots at The Real Rukshan.